Thank you for tuning in to the Golden State Media Concepts football podcast, where we discuss the latest news, rumors, and games of the NFL and college football. As always, I'm your host, Jeremiah Martinez, and unfortunately, Anthony is not here today. He's actually taking a sick day. Yes, he did not feel well at all. But we have a lot to get to today. We had huge breaking news this morning, and that was former New England Patriots tight end, Aaron Hernandez, who was serving a life sentence in prison for the murder of Odin Lloyd, I think in 2013. He appeared that he had committed suicide in prison this morning. So he was already serving a life sentence for a murder conviction, and days ago he was acquitted of a double murder as well. He was found hanging in his prison cell earlier this morning, and that was according to Massachusetts prisons officials. So that was pretty much this whole thing. Is basically, there's a couple ways you can take this. Aaron Hernandez was a terrible human being. I don't think that's really debatable. He was a terrible human being. He was convicted of a murder of an innocent man. And, with him not being alive anymore, there's a couple ways you can think about this. He cannot harm anyone else. He cannot put himself in any more trouble as well. So honestly, he is passed away. And before all the trials and before all of his life sentence, before all of this came about, Aaron Hernandez was turning into a really great NFL player. In 2012, which was, I think, the last year when he was in the league, which he was marred by injuries, he was turning into a really great player, not just for the Patriots, but in the NFL. The Patriots were looking like they were building they had a tandem of tight ends for years to come with Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski. There was no way that they were going to be able to keep both of them, but he was turning into a really great NFL player. And then when this came about, with him being under investigation for the murder of Odin Lloyd, then pretty much his career, his life, really took a dive. It really took a dive as well. Well, Hernandez, he was, according to ESPN here, Hernandez was pronounced dead actually at UMass Memorial Health Alliance Hospital after he was actually found in his prison cell. He was actually in a single cell in a general population housing unit, which in a maximum security state prison. Hernandez tried to block the cell door from inside by jamming the door with various items. So, it looks like that Aaron Hernandez was this whole story. I wouldn't say it's finally over, but it is over. I do have my condolences for the Odin Lloyd family there. But this was really huge breaking news because this was a story that really, really dominated national headlines. And I think it's kind of ironic that Hernandez's death comes the same day the Patriots are making their visit to the White House to mark their Super Bowl win in February. I just think that's really, really ironic there. When we think about this story in about 5 to 10 years, we're going to describe Aaron Hernandez as someone that was a talent, but it was wasted on stupid actions. And I do think that with this story, I do think that a lot of young people are going to pretty much try to have better people around them. So I do think that this is going to show a lot of young players that if you have the right people around you, you can be really successful. If you're still hanging out with the wrong people, then you can end up like Aaron Hernandez, who had all the talent in the world. He had the money. He had fame in the New England area, and all that was gone because he committed a crime. Well, Hernandez's teammate, Mike Pouncey, who is a Sanford and Miami Dolphins, posted the news on Instagram as well. He called Aaron Hernandez his friend, his brother. He said, through thick and thin, right or wrong, we never left each other's side. Pouncey went on to say his heart hurts as he got worse news he could ever imagine. It was just a day ago we shared our last convo. Pouncey said he will forever miss him and he will love him, So, this was really the only thing I can really say as of right now, is that Hernandez was just someone with a lot of potential that was wasted. He had it all, and he committed a crime, and that's why I can't really give any sympathy to him, because he had all the talent in the world. He had all the money. But yet he went on to commit this crime anyway, to cover up a murder that he wasn't even convicted of, which I thought was kind of ironic. But when I look at the rise and fall, if you look at this timeline, he went from a star at Florida, from being a star at New England, or I should say a rising star, and from being under arrest. The rise and fall really quickly happened for Aaron Hernandez. Like I said earlier, it's pretty ironic to me that this came on the same day as the Patriots were visiting the White House. And speaking of that White House visit, Tom Brady said he was not going to attend the White House celebration today. He released a statement saying, quote, "I am so happy and excited that our team is being honored at the White House today. Our team has accomplished something very special that we are all proud of, and we will be for years to come. Thank you to the president for hosting this honorary celebration and for supporting our team for as long as I can remember. In light of some recent developments, I'm unable to attend today's ceremony as I am attending to some personal family matters. Hopefully, if we accomplish the goal of winning a championship in the future years, we will be back on the South Lawn again soon. Have a great day." So Brady released a statement of not attending the White House. Me personally, I didn't feel like he had to release a statement. I think maybe the reason why he released this statement is because, he does have a friend that is in public office, and of course that friend is the president. Brady has also missed the last two visits of the White House. The Patriots last met the president, who was Obama at the time, versus the Seahawks in their win at Super Bowl 49. And Brady said at that time, after that win versus the Seahawks, he had a scheduling conflict he could not break due to a late notification. So I don't understand why he had to. I don't understand why he had to release the statement. Like, I get it, but do we really need a full statement of why you don't need to come? Like, we know you're friends with the president. Like, come on. Well, he could be back to visit the White House next year. The Patriots are going to be Super Bowl favorites again. And, Brady did attend New England's first 3 Super Bowl receptions, under George Bush. And this is also the first ceremony, I think, of any of the sports teams, actually, that will be under Donald Trump. So it is something that's going to... It is something that is something to think about because, with Donald Trump now in office, maybe a lot of players would not want to visit the White House. We had reports surfacing months ago about a lot of players not wanting to attend there. So maybe that a lot of players will start not wanting to attend these receptions after they win a championship. All right, well, I'm going to take my first break, and when I get back, I'm going to discuss New England Patriots still. We are going to continue some New England Patriots talk. I already discussed Aaron Hernandez. I discussed Tom Brady. I'm going to discuss Malcolm Butler now. He signed a restricted free agent tender. So I will discuss that when I return to Guns to Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And welcome back to Going to Meet Concepts Football Podcast. Still continuing the Patriots talk here. I discussed Aaron Hernandez committing suicide earlier this morning in his prison cell. I did talk about briefly of Tom Brady not attending the White House visits of the Patriots to celebrate their Super Bowl 51 win over the Atlanta Falcons. Well, the Patriots, it was a busy day yesterday for the franchise in New England. The Patriots, they have offered, or I should say, Malcolm Butler has signed a restricted free agent tender, which actually opens up the possibility that the team can now trade him because, a player cannot be traded unless he's under contract. So now Butler's status looks like he is under contract and can be traded anytime. There's been talks about Malcolm Butler being traded to the New Orleans Saints. He visits the team. Butler had not signed a tender in hopes that another team might have signed him to an offer sheet before Friday's deadline. So he visits the Saints, hoping that the Saints can offer something. And the Saints didn't really plan to sign Butler to an offer sheet. So it looks like that right now Malcolm Butler is part of the Patriots. I don't know if he's going to be there next year, but I would love for the Patriots to pair Stephon Gilmore and Malcolm Butler, and that would be a tremendous cornerback duo. The Saints, they're trying to improve their defense. They're trying to improve their defense, and they have to, especially in that division that they're in. You got quarterbacks like Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, and Jameis Winston. You have to improve that defense. The Patriots did say that they signed Stephon Gilmore. They signed him to a 5-year, $65 million contract as an unrestricted free agent. So, I think a Malcolm Butler trade will happen because, one, Patriots don't have a 2017 draft pick until the 3rd round. I just cannot see Bill Belichick going into the draft without a first and second round pick. I think they can easily get a second or first round pick from Malcolm Butler from the Saints. I think they can. So I can definitely see this as a possibility, but if that doesn't happen, I think, Butler and Gilmore, they will be one of the top cornerback duos in the league next year. So this is something that we have to keep our eye on. So, a trade can happen any moment now between Malcolm Butler and the Saints. So it can happen any moment now. It can happen. It could probably happen, knowing my luck. It will probably happen when I go off the air today. And speaking of trades, another trade that could happen very soon is Marshawn Lynch to the Raiders. Well, it looks like that there's a deadline for this to happen. It looks like it's not going to be so simple right now. Apparently, the draft is now the deadline for the Raiders to make a trade or for Marshawn Lynch to come to Raiders. The Raiders need a power back. Beast Mode wants to return to play for his hometown team. Nothing is officially done. There was reports of the Raiders talking to the Seahawks about a deal. So there's really nothing going on right now. But it looks like that the draft can be a deadline for the Raiders to acquire Marshawn Lynch. Because I have said previously before that, the Raiders are probably going to go into the draft and add a running back. I have said this countless times. There is interest in Marshawn Lynch. The Raiders have interest in him. Marshawn Lynch has interest in the Raiders. They did come close to a contract agreement last week. But, the Seahawks haven't really officially done anything to trade away Marshawn Lynch. So, it looks like that deadline is now the draft now. It looks like the draft can be the end of the Raiders' interest in Lynch. Because if Oakland adds a running back, they're probably going to, by the way. There's probably no reasons to even add Lynch. And I did say that I would actually like to see Marshawn Lynch even with a rookie running back. I would just like to have Marshawn Lynch there as a presence. But, I do think, I have said this, I think the only weakness of the Raiders' offense has been the running back position. It has been, and I do think that we will have something done. It's just a matter of time. But, the draft is next Thursday. It starts next Thursday, so we got 8 days for this to happen to come about. So, now we're kind of in the speculation thing going on. So, I do think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't. So, what just happened to say if Marshawn Lynch is not? Let's just say if Marshawn Lynch is not a part of the Raiders, I don't think it'll be the end of the world. And when you look at guys in this year's draft, you look at the running backs. You got Dalvin Cook, you got Leonard Fournette, you got Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon. I think they're all capable of starting next year. Joe Mixon may be the best overall, but he's a little bit he's really polarizing because of his past. Got Dalvin Cook there. He can be a true 3-down back. I like him as someone that can be used as a receiver. He can definitely be a true 3-down back. I like Dalvin Cook. He might slip all the way to the Raiders at 24, realistically. I don't know why he's been slipping, but I really do like the way Dalvin Cook plays. Leonard Fournette, he's not going to be there. He's going to go in the top 5. He's going to go to number 4 to the Jags. The Niners have been interested at Fournette at number 2, so that's a possibility as well. You know, the Panthers have been linked to Fournette. I actually do like that combo of Cam Newton and Fournette on the field at the same time. So that's a possibility. I could definitely see Christian McCaffrey being a really good fit for the Raiders, but he's not really a power back. He's more of a change the pace, pass catching back. You know, Dalvin Cook is more all around. Dalvin Cook's not really a power guy, but he is shifty enough to get you yards on first down. Joe Mixon, you know, I think he's someone that's probably the best all-around back, but, you know, he hasn't been regarded that way. I think it's because of he's been very polarizing the past couple of months, you know, leading into the draft. There's a lot of great running backs in this draft, so honestly, Raider fans, if you guys do not get Marshawn Lynch, I don't think it's the end of the world. You guys are probably going to get a really good back in the draft anyways. I don't think so. And, you know, I'm looking at the list of the running backs in this year's draft. There's about 15 guys in this class that they're all probably going to get drafted. But when I look at the top 4, all those, and that's Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon, all those guys are going to start next year. They're all going to start. So don't forget about Joe Mixon's teammate, Samaje Perine. Don't forget about him. That dude is also a flat-out stud as well. He's a little smaller than... Actually, no, he's actually not small. He's actually more bulkier. He's just shorter. Dante Foreman's a guy that I liked. He had a really impressive season at Texas. Alvin Kamara, you know, he just came onto the scene like out of nowhere. So he's someone I do think that could make an impact. I actually like Jamal Williams a lot. So, you know, realistically, we could be looking at this running back class as one of the best in a few years. So that's why I wouldn't lose my mind about not getting Marshawn Lynch. You know, Marshawn Lynch is I think 31, or at least he's over 30. He's definitely over 30. He hasn't played a year. Sure, he will help the Raiders. He is a true power back. I actually like Marshawn Lynch on the Raiders. I think he can score a lot of touchdowns for this team, but since now there's like a deadline for the Raiders and Marshawn Lynch for that to happen. If it doesn't happen by the draft, it's not going to happen. And you know what? I don't think there should be too much concern about it. There's so many great running backs in this draft. We can be looking at this 5 years from now and saying, man, what a draft class that was for running backs. All of these guys were stars, studs, impact players. We could be saying that. Especially if you have top four guys. If Dalvin Cook, Fournette, McCaffrey, Mixon end up being Pro Bowlers, all pros. If 2 or 3 of them in the first round, because four of these guys could be in the first round. If 2 or 3 of those guys in the first round become all pros, that's a successful draft class already. So I do think that we're in for a really great draft class here. Another guy that I like seeing is James Conner. You know, I love his story about him beating cancer a couple years ago. No, I like Wayne Goldman from Clemson. Great player for the Tigers last year. I like Donald Pumphrey in San Diego State. He is a little bit smaller of a guy. He's more of a change of pace back, but I do think he can make an impact on a really good team in a limited role. So, yeah, I wouldn't be upset if I wouldn't get Marshawn Lynch if I was a Raider fan. So, you guys are going to get a great running back, you know. Reggie McKenzie knows what he's doing, all right? He's built a great team. And if there's a really great running back there at 24, if Dalvin Cook falls all the way there, I can really see Reggie McKenzie drafting the Florida State running back. And if not, you know, if he's not there, I can definitely see the Raiders drafting Christian McCaffrey as well. I think that'll be a great pickup. So I wouldn't be upset if Marshawn Lynch doesn't come to the Raiders at all. I would not be upset. All right, well, I'm going to take my last break, and when I get back, it looks like that we have a new team to star on Hard Knocks. Yes, it looks like Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the next team to be featured on HBO. All right, well, I'll discuss that when I return to the Guns to Me Concepts Football Podcast.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's GSMCpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to Going to Me Concepts Football Podcast. And, I covered a lot of news today, from Aaron Hernandez committing suicide, found dead in his jail cell. Tom Brady not attending the White House on the Patriots visit today. New England cornerback Malcolm Butler signing a restricted free agent tender, and I did talk about the potential deadline for Marshawn Lynch and the Raiders to come about, and the other running backs I really think that can fit the Raiders team. But now I want to end off discussing Hard Knocks, the HBO reality series that has been popular the past summers ever since its inception. It looks like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be on the show this year. There's a press conference set for today, actually, about 1 p.m. Eastern time. So when I go off the air, it will probably formally announce. I am recording this around 8:30. It is around 9 o'clock now. So it will probably be announced by the time I go off the air today, and by the time some of you guys are listening to this, it will probably be officially announced. So, I do like the idea of the Bucs on Hard Knocks. We got a lot of great stars on that team. Jameis Winston, Deshaun Jackson, Mike Evans, Adrian Peterson could be a member of that team, so that will be something to see as well. Doug Martin can be someone that can be featured heavily on the show, going in training camp and being suspended for the beginning of the year. So, I do like this. I think it is a really great choice. I couldn't really see a whole lot of teams that would have been interested this year. Last year the Rams were the team to be featured on this. And, their season was just horrendous right after that. But, I do think the Bucs are a really good team, and they're a very unique choice for this show. And I think they were the only choice for this show. It looks like it's going to be something to watch. There was 5 of the 11 teams that have been featured on Hard Knocks have gone on to make the playoffs that year. So maybe the Bucs can be one of that team. I think it's going to be very entertaining. There's a lot of big personalities on this team. Like I said, Jameis Winston, Deshaun Jackson. There's a lot of big personalities, so it can make for great reality TV as well. The Bucs on Hard Knocks has been something that's been rumored for months. It's been rumored, head coach Dirk Notter had made a bunch of positive noises about, the team being potentially selected for the show, so he's happy about it, because I did think a lot of coaches are usually turned off by this. So it can make a very entertaining show with the Bucs. I'm looking really forward to it, and we're going to have to wait until the summer to see it. All right, well, that's going to conclude it for me today. I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow. Anthony should be back tomorrow. We will discuss any sort of news in the next 24 hours. As always, I'm Jeremiah Martinez. You guys were listening to the Going to Me Concepts Football Podcast. You guys have a great day.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.